I really think Gobta has been one of the most underrated characters for the show. Now, don't get me wrong, I think he's become a fan favorite over the season, but there's something about looking back where he started, comparing where he is now. Sure, he still lacks the confidence to fully go up against an armed lunatic, but at the end of the day, when you look at what he was able to accomplish, even though in his own mind he was shitting his pants saying, I cannot beat him, he literally made the other guy say, this dude might be able to keep up with me. And while sure, maybe if we ran a simulator of 1,000 battles, Gobta wouldn't have won most of them, but I think he would have won a couple of them, because he is quick on his feet. He definitely has improved quite a bit. And honestly, this dude was kind of the MVP of the episode. That brought a grin to my face, because I remember when I made my Season 1 video, because I binged Season 1 a couple of weeks before Season 2 started up, I was talking about how Gobta was one of the more interesting characters who started it as that joke, but then kind of became a badass, and I'm glad that his badassery is continuing to flourish in the wake of a battle that was completely one-sided. I mean, I am a sucker for good strategy, and when you pretty much have Geld and the boys just launch their ultimate choir practice as the ground crumbles beneath them, and even if you somehow manage to scale the wall Spider-Man style, Geld and his boys are going to be up there with giant swords to clock you over the head. And the people who survived on the ground are getting aerial assaulted to ninja assaulted. It's pretty much a completely one-sided match. And I found it interesting, and I'm glad it happened, even if it didn't work out for the boy. I mean, one of the most badass looking characters that we've seen in this show has been probably one of the more frightening characters over the past couple of weeks. He was made out to be a nobody this week. He was completely ready to betray Clayman because he was smart. I love it when an enemy, like a general or enemy antagonist of some sort, right, who's like, hey, you know, I'm a big badass, I'm working for a big badass, or at least he thinks is a big badass, because Clayman doesn't have too many friends, let's be honest. But those that he does have working for him respect the guy, right? But the fact that he clearly recognizes that it's game over, right? So what I should do is basically cover my tracks and find a better demon lord to work under. While yes, you could argue it's cowardly, but that's like the realistic thing to do here, because unless the followers have like loyalty to the fact of like, it doesn't matter if your army's 5 people against 10,000, you respect your king, you respect your leader, right? That's the type of respect that Rimuru has. If Rimuru was going up, it was the complete opposite. They were getting killed like thousands by the minute. I'm pretty sure while there would definitely be some heartache, they would still believe in Rimuru to turn it around. Even if they don't believe it themselves, they want to give Rimuru, their leader, the confidence that they believe in him. Clayman doesn't have that, as we just saw. His most powerful general here was like, I'm gonna go find someone better because, I mean, while I'll lose here, the victory isn't completely lost. As long as I live, I'll have a second chance. And if it wasn't for the teleportation magic being blocked, he would have got away. And I was actually starting to wonder, I was like, okay, well, I mean, if he's gonna leave, I wonder, is it gonna join Rimuru, gonna join a different set of characters? And then it just didn't work out, and then we got the whole Gobta situation and badass Snake Woman. I mean, what's not to love about that? I really appreciate that. And I know there definitely are a pretty good handful of people who I've seen over the weeks definitely want much more action rather than the sitting around talking and strategizing, and I definitely want to touch more on that topic towards the end of the video. But I find episodes like these to be very fun. I'm sure there will be those people who say, oh, most of the action was still shots with some effects and sound effects, but I mean, that's pretty much every anime out there, unless you have like a specific animator working on a section to make it really look good. That's the anime charm that I've come to know and love. So to have an episode where all the pieces are clicking and getting even more interesting mechanics towards the magic side of things, I remember when part 1 was starting up and we were introducing that cut content that should have been in season 1 but wasn't. There were so many interesting things like the idea of like runes and magic, and that's how they heat up their water. There's all these different bells and whistles like, you know, toxin purifiers in the water and alcohol, right? There was just so many cool little things, and I really like kicking off the episode because Remmers, right, we were told who was going to go with her. But how would that work when they're attached to the forest? And then you see Rimuru do this really cool situation where now they can leave the forest. I love those types of things about Slime, because in the wake of a battle, they still find new ways to impress me about what the mechanics in the series have to offer. And I think episodes like these are just really fun. I mean, seeing like the best boy here just get so pissed off at Clayman's men. He's like, is this all they have to offer? And that one dude's just like, well, I mean, they had a better plan than us. It's kind of like, it doesn't really matter how strong we are. They got the jump on us. He's like, well, of course I knew that. This dude gets like so pissed off so easily, and I love it. He's like my favorite comedic relief character right now. This dude's an absolute riot. But I do want to quickly touch upon this because I've seen different people say it, and I'm genuinely curious why this is a thought process, and you can leave your own feelings down below. But when I was watching Season 1, most of Season 1, there wasn't a lot of action. There were some highlights, like the Orc Lord fight building up to that. There was that Milim Rimuru kind of giant dragon in the sky that destroyed the road that we're still repairing in Season 2. But the idea of, like, there being a lot of action in Slime, there really isn't. There's miniature fights and, like, big moments, but they're very far between each other. It's definitely, like, a quality over quantity style action. Slime has always been a show that is mostly dialogue and building up the world. Like, that's pretty much what Season 1 was. And I remember walking into Season 2, I was hearing a lot of people say how dark and crazy it would be. So I'm honestly curious if maybe part of the reason why I'm seeing some people not enjoying the political side of this, where this is literally the same type of content we had in Season 1, just a little more intense. I'm wondering if it's a similar situation that My Hero Academia Season 5 is going through, where manga readers, or in the case of Slime source readers, I think it's the light novel, set expectations that maybe anime-onlys were expecting a lot more craziness, like the end of Part 1 of Season 2, what we're building up with Clayman, and maybe that's why, because there really isn't anything different about the formula in Season 2 compared to Season 1. In all honesty, there's a lot more intense moments in Season 2, but, like, this is what Slime is built around. And I'm definitely feeling like there's, like, maybe a lot of people who, you know, enjoyed Part 1 or maybe only binged Part 1 of Season 1 and then watched Part 1 of Season 2 because they heard how crazy it got. But it's interesting to think about because as someone who binged Season 1 just moments prior from Season 2 releasing, I see no difference in formula. So I'm curious if it's a mixture of misremembering what Season 1 was, or if what I think's happening, if maybe there's just a lot of source readers like saying this is what's going to happen, but then it takes long to get there, so then that dampers expectations. I'm not sure, but it's interesting seeing it because for me, like, this is exactly what Slime's been from the very beginning, just even more intense and more interesting with the strategy now that Rimuru's a little more collected. But I just want to throw that out there because I constantly get comments saying, like, why are you fine with the political side of Slime? And I'm just kind of sitting here thinking, like, Slime's always been political. That's kind of what it's been from the very beginning, just with certain really good highlights, but that's just me anyway. I find episodes like these to be very fun. I'm glad we got to see Geld and the boys do some interesting things, seeing Geld team up, trying to get some revenge for what went down in his past. I mean, everything's looking rather good to be Rimuru right now, and I think, honestly, I doubt this dude will get out alive, but Mr. Ice Sword, I mean, should he survive and somehow join up with Rimuru, that would be the craziest turn of events, but I'm pretty sure he's gonna end up dead. But it'll be fun to see where they take it from here. I'd love to know everyone's thoughts and feelings. Definitely your favorite moment. I think my personal favorite moment is definitely the drum beating, where they're all stomping and the floor crumbles. That was just such a really good strategy. You couldn't do that on your home turf because you wouldn't want to destroy your buildings and architecture, but when you're literally, like, sabotaging the enemy flank, I mean, that's pretty brilliant, I have to say, and you need strong people to be able to pull it off. Let me know whatever you're feeling though down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.